What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 33 of the Eyes Wide Open podcast. I have a very special guest with me this week for my episode. My baby brother is back. Say hey to the people, little bro.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you here.
Thank you so much for coming back on here. Today, we are doing a little fun episode. He's one of my favorite people to talk random stuff with, so I wanted to do a little episode about living in a virtual reality and what our thoughts would be like doing that. And so I just have a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking, and he and I are going to toggle the conversation between us. If you guys have not checked out my social media, please make sure that you hit the Insta bio link in my description to check out all the places you can follow me and the podcast channel. And also, myself and at Audaciously Me are going to be going live with our Caution Women at Play podcast tonight, 6 p.m. PST and 8 p.m. CST. It takes me a second to get that timing down. All right, sorry guys.
be on the lookout for it because she's amazing at it. Trust me.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're pumped up. That goes live tonight on YouTube and Facebook. So just everything's in the Insta link bio for the link tree to that podcast. And also, I have put out some collective signed tarot card reads on this channel as well. YouTube exclusive if you happen to only be listening on the audio platform. So if you've been wondering about Pisces love reads and Scorpio career reads and things like that, that is going up on the channel, YouTube exclusives. I'm just dropping them as I do them. There's no rhyme or reason behind why. So if you're curious about those or wanting a personal read, again, everything in the description. But let's get going on today's episode. All right, Darius. Would you like to tell the people how old you are for reference?
For reference sake, I'm 25 years old.
The baby.
Yes.
The big baby.
The very youngest.
Yes. Okay, so my first question is, would you ever live in a virtual world?
Live in one? Probably not. But if it means I get to experience it even just once, I wouldn't mind trying it.
Okay. What aspects of living in a virtual world make you be like, no thank you?
I feel there's a bit of caution when it comes to it. You feel like you can do whatever you want, that there's little consequence to your actions. Mm-hmm. And life is filled with trial and error events that if you're not careful will bite you. Ooh. So in a virtual landscape, you're free of most of those limitations, those issues that you deal with. You
feel like there wouldn't be much accountability for certain things in a virtual world?
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting. That's a very unique take. Would I ever live in one? I mean, to some degree, I feel like we kind of are getting to that point anyway by how much virtual has been shoved down our throats, but I'm not mad at it. It's just, there'd have to be some definite, rules for how stuff went, you know what I mean? Or I hate to say rules because you guys don't get it, everybody's a little badass and I don't like rules, but I just mean there would have to be some sort of structure that made sense with it for me to do it. But
you would need regulation.
It seems kind of cool. Could you see us getting to that point in our society how it is right now?
Probably, but it would take maybe a decade or two more before that technology gets so advanced, because when you think virtual world, virtual reality and the that technology is still it's been toyed with for even as long as I was around, before I was born, right, to say. And we are at a point where we're able to play video games in virtual landscapes via headsets and controllers, and people are experimenting with these omnidirectional treadmills that can be used for it. And it's nice and all, but then you gotta account for the processing power, the cutting edge technology you gotta put together. This would take a lot of horsepower just to even get this park,
a full world
the way it
actually is ready without all the resourceful tangible efforts of the nation. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I kind of want to get into ups and downs of living virtually. What do you think about schools, humanity, human closeness, the progression of society? What do you think happens if we were to go into that?
Hard to say, really, because I feel in a virtual landscape, education would be a little easier. You'd have less of a hassle, have less stress put on you in your body, because you're not working like your entire body to do every single thing just to get it all done. You're focusing on like some core educational aspects instead. Whereas, like, in the actual world, you're doing a lot of work, a lot of exercises via PE and classes like this. And people who go to college also got, like, a bunch of classes added on. It's like, I feel a virtual landscape could make education a little easier.
So, okay, there's that. But then, like, PE and, like, exercise is a really important part.
This is true.
I kind of feel like there's ways around it, you know, like you have like big Zoom workout sessions and classes that people pay for, like Zumba, and there's like the Live It app where the people do Zumba and they join the app and they do it with person. So there's definite like advancements than like I probably ever could have imagined whenever like virtual started to first like enter and integrate society. Because I remember when I was a kid, I went to computer camp at our local college when I was a kid, and they taught us how to work a floppy drive. Like that, that's just how much progression has been in the last 20 years, 25 years even. I mean, because I'm only 30, so like within the last for sure 20 years, tech has taken like a huge turn. And that's not that much time. Like, I feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much time left to live. Like, imagine what it'll be like in like years from now. Oh my goodness. But it's interesting. It's like the stuff that we were taught 20 years ago, it's like obsolete right now. Tech is so advanced and so fast moving that you're like, shit, how am I supposed to keep myself on board?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cussed quite a bit in this episode so far.
Oh,
sorry.
It's okay. You can easily get lost in the gutter. Like, you can be left behind on what's new in the tech industry. It's that fast in development. But I still feel like even for virtual reality and the like, that's still stuff you gotta work out.
Right. What do you feel about crime? Because I know you mentioned like culpability and things like that, and people being held accountable for like things they do when there's not as much, you know what I mean? Like, are we sending people to virtual jail? Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's an interesting way to think. Like, how would we keep up with crime? What would be considered crimes? Like, how are people living? I dubbed him with an assignment to watch a movie, Ready Player One. It's pretty popular. It was about 2 years ago in 2018. The movie's based, I'm actually going to read the description base of this show really quick. Ready Player One. In 2045, the creator of a virtual reality universe promises his fortune to the first person to discover a digital Easter egg. Soon, young Wade Watts finds himself in a reality-bending treasure hunt through the mysterious and fantastical world. And that's like literally the world that basically, it's based out of 2045 and like Earth in 25 years from now. And it's really interesting because it's like, we weren't even where we are right now in 20 years, 25 years from now, who knows? They were stacked. I'm pretty sure in this movie, I haven't watched it in 2 years, but I did ask him to watch it so he could see where I was going.
I did.
But they had like trailers all stacked on top of one another and stuff like that, the way they were living in like regular quarters. But then like when you went into the trailers, everything they did was like all virtual. They had treadmills, they had like, and they would have been in shape because of the amount of running they had to do in the virtual world. And it's all powered by like VR headset and stuff like that. So it's real interesting.
I do enjoy the whole way they did this in the movie.
Right.
First off, the landscapes, yes. The houses you see in Ready Player One are like shipping container sized trailers all stacked together as if
little pods.
Yeah. It's so it really shows how rural it is. But then you look inside and everything's like all this cutting edge tech. I'm like, okay, so they can at least afford that. I can question that. Right.
But the things that people would usually use, where money would usually go to, like outside things, like people owning gyms, people owning different things, that's no longer a thing. Everything is now virtual. So it's like, do you do everything with Bitcoin? Is money like a thing? Do you see what I mean?
It's
like how virtual people could go?
Is money obsolete in the world? That's a good question to think about.
But that's why Bitcoin and stuff is here, so that it doesn't go obsolete.
That is true.
People turn all their money into Bitcoin and we just lived virtually. I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but I can 1,000% see them saying like, oh yeah, we're doing that now.
I'll admit,
and you're just like, wait, what? All your paychecks will now be interpreted into Bitcoin, not dollars and cents. Thank you. And you're like, wait, huh? What has happened to us?
Oh my gosh. I'll admit, I'm a little behind when it comes to how Bitcoin really works.
But in terms of like crime,
how do you go about
do you feel like it drops?
Probably.
Crime droppage.
There's a chance.
I kind of thought crime could drop, or all the crime would just be like very virtual crime, but you're not hurting someone's tangible body. So it's like,
what the
you virtual crime whore. Like, you know what you say to people.
It's like, sure, you can commit a crime in the virtual world. What's the punishment for that? Oh, you're like banned for a certain amount of time, I guess?
Right.
But then what do you do in the real world?
Pay
with,
a Bitcoin fine. Pay a Bitcoin fine, and they can track you because it's all virtual now.
Oh gosh, yeah. I forgot about the whole tracking situation.
There's some interesting like concepts to this, how that I could see it going, and like spiritually, that kind of stuff is like weird sometimes, because like, do we just go to virtual church now? Like, what do we do? Virtual Sunday school? Like, I mean, we pretty much have it. Whenever the pandemic hit and all these curfews went into, people were just on Facebook like, hey, my church is doing service in here, you know?
Hello.
Exactly. They were like, praise, worship Jesus from the couch. And it was good for them. They were happy.
That's a good idea.
I think the thing that like we all miss the most would be human closeness, because there's only so much virtual closeness you can have with someone. Like the Sims game, that's a big game that people play. It's been around for years though.
Oh yeah, Sims has been around since
time.
Long ago, even before I was born, I'd say. Well, simulations in general, there's been the Sim City series where you can make your own virtual city, and that's been around since like on the Super Nintendo before I was a child.
Exactly. So it's been like a thing. I feel like they've been inching us closer to like doing this, and I feel like video game is like such a great way for them to play and see like, how do we make this something that can work, or do we make it something that can work in the event that we have some crazy apocalyptic thing and we need to communicate with each other better virtually. Like, who knows?
You know,
I don't know.
You know something, sister? This talk of virtual reality kind of reminds me of this one particular episode of Batman the Animated Series, if you remember this. Because I'm remembering this one scene where Commissioner Gordon was just checking in on Robin as he's testing out the computer, and Robin shows him this virtual reality world. And he points out how the military had used virtual reality for combat simulation practice. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. But in today's world, how practical is that? Is it very useful in the time of a cyber war? Do people really attack people like that?
Oh, like an actual cyber war? Like, you think about, like, how would the military be? Like, would the military still be necessary with that? Like, I think so, because even though the world would be confined to a virtual world, like, there's still a tangible world out there. But I just think things would shrink. True. I don't feel like you would have the same need for manpower that you currently have, or just your military's, like, you know, branch that handles all the tech would probably get larger, and you'd have more people focused in on trying to make that unique, because there'd still be like issues with people hacking stuff, and you're having to go figure that out, find what pod they're in, take them in. Like, I feel like there's still stuff that would happen, but I do feel like it might lessen. Like, I feel like violent crimes, like actually shooting an actual person, not saying it wouldn't happen, it could, but I feel like it'd be more difficult. People figure out what pod you're in, virtual realities and stuff. You ain't got no money. Does Uber and Lyft still deliver and drive places? Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. Obviously you still have to have grocery stores, but like, what is it? Do we just have like drop offs to our pods? Like, there's so much now. Yeah. You could have it be super organized or super disorganized. I feel like in Ready Player One is a little disorganized.
Oh yeah.
I feel like all the pods in the people's communities was looking a hot mess.
They look so easy to topple over.
Yeah, like so easy to topple. Everything was just smushed on top of each other. It's crazy.
Like, I've seen shipping container houses before, and they look amazing.
They actually do. But I wouldn't be shocked, like, if that's the route that they try to take us to, like, make things smaller and more go up instead of out because there's only so much land. Doing that, adding more tech into things, improving the tower so that people could use more. Like, I feel like that would be definitely.
And you know, funny you mentioned food about this. How in the world are you going to sustain your physical form?
That's what I mean.
If
you think in Ready Player One, they had the treadmill and they ran, and that was the way that they maintained physical strength, but they were also able to play the game like that.
True.
So it's like if you're running like 2-3 miles on a treadmill every day, like that's really good. There are people who don't walk a mile a day. So like, you know, you're definitely going to be in shape if you're playing that game. Because if you want to do anything in the game, you are.
Oh, for sure. To do all the crazy flippy feats, that's impressive.
Exactly. This also brought me back to, I want to talk on 2 more episodes of things that we discussed, but something I wanted to bring up was Black Mirror. If you guys haven't watched that show, please go watch it. It's so mind-bending and perspective shifting and just gives you some unique realities. I feel like that show probably has a lot more organized, is a more organized display of how some things can work out. They have so many virtual reality like simulations in that show that people go through. There's punishment simulators, like that's what I mean. You pull people in, and if you can punish them with like a virtual reality headset instead of like, you know, some of these other things. It's just interesting. Like, they had the one where the 2 guys jumped into the video game reality, and like one was a chick and one was a guy, but it was like very real VR. Like they could feel it getting hit and knocked out, and so it got a little freaky, and they end up messing with each other. But it's like a guy and a girl in the VR headset, but then they were 2 guys in like real life. And so they did not know how to handle it. It's just great. Go check the episodes out because it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, this is real stuff that can happen, that does happen. It was like not a real catfish.
Yeah, and the heart wants what the heart wants.
The heart wants what the heart wants. You are correct with that one. But I thought it was so interesting because they put like people in bears and inanimate objects and stuff like that. Like, they took somebody's consciousness out of their mind and like put it in a toy animal. Like, very unique, weird stuff that personally I feel like, who am I to say whether that's going to be a thing or not? But I do think it's interesting, and I do think the technological advancements that they're talking about, like a lot of time for me, if it's put into a movie, I feel like they probably already did it in real life. Or they're working on trying to find a way to do it in real life. I'm not completely sold that they haven't messed with somebody and tried to take their consciousness and put it in a teddy bear. Like, I believe that people really have tried to do that.
The human mind is an enigma when it comes to these ideas. So
Yes.
You never know what's potentially real and what's not.
Exactly. Because that's hard for me to like imagine because of the world I currently live in, but to see it and it's like, well, I'm not saying it's not true, because for someone to think about it, it had to be there. And those people who created that episode are definitely not the first people in the world to consider that
Not
idea.
even close.
And definitely, I don't think that, I'm telling you, I think somebody's already tried it. I bet you. It's the way that all this stuff goes. When we hear about stuff is not when stuff is actually coming out. Stuff has already been out, and they're just waiting to unveil. Darius actually brought up to me some anime series when we were kind of going over this episode that had something to do with this. You want to explain that to the people? Maybe they want to check it out.
Yeah, as a big time anime fan, I paid attention to some pretty good series, 2 of which fit within this episode's context. One series is called Dot Hack, which, oh my gosh, it's been something I've watched since I was a child. It's based on this hit massively multiplayer online RPG or MMORPG called The World, and you can do a lot of crazy cool stuff in there. Like, you can do fantasy actions and stuff like that, quests and side quests and the like. But the world is also home to some various incidents, some that can even lead to people getting hit with comas.
Woo!
Yeah, that's
through the VR headset, like it.
Oh yeah,
messes with their brain wave or something and puts them in a coma. Wow.
Yes, and the second anime that I know gets a lot of flack throughout the past decade. It's called Sword Art Online. I liked it, not gonna lie, for like the first 2 seasons it was okay. The second season was a bit of a hit or miss. But it was good in my opinion. I still liked it. It's based around the titular virtual reality game titled Sword Art Online. Yes, for the first season. And in that season, you could not be able to log out because the creator of the game made it that way. And if you died in the game,
died in real life?
Yeah, the headgear that you wear will fry your brain. And will kill you. Trust me, that is some crazy stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's like somebody to create that anime. Like, someone thought of that. I guarantee you, someone's already thought of it.
Let me give you a little. Give you a little trivia about it. Both those series were actually a thing around the same time. Like, when I was a child, they were created at the same time. Exactly. But Sword Art Online didn't get an anime until like the early 2010s. Dot Hack has had anime series and even games all across the board.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's like kind of creepy that it was like created that long ago, and it's like, well, just shows y'all what people are thinking about.
Oh yeah.
The last kind of thing that I wanted to touch on. I actually just wanted to shout out those couple of things, the movie and the shows, because if you guys wanted to check them out, this is kind of where our thoughts from this stuff has stimulated over the years. So you guys can, join with us mentally. But last thing I want to talk about was like a tangible thing, dating, social circles. We already do a lot of like online dating with people, like meeting them. What do you feel like that looks like in terms of like hanging out? I noticed he's not on like social media super heavy. That is not his jam.
It's not
but on social media they have something called a versus battle. Have you heard of that?
No. Care to explain?
Yes, absolutely. So versus battle is like in order to keep engagement high among artists and performers, musicians, versus, I believe this is Swiss Beats creation, Alicia Keys' husband.
Really?
And another individual I just cannot. Please forgive me if y'all are watching, but I don't remember who was partnered with Swiss Beats to bring us versus battles. But essentially, like the last one was Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane, and they battled it head to head, song for song. And we listen as people. We can type in, we can tap in, we can talk. It's like a big old like virtual concert between them banging out their best hits on Instagram Live. And I think they most recently partnered with Apple too to bring it to us, where you can watch it on like Apple TV and stuff like that. And it's like a whole experience. People are loving that experience, like actually getting online, cutting on the versus battle, being at home with their families, duking out, or having like a versus party. I've seen people have like 5-6 people over having a versus party, listening to all their old stuff. They had like a Ludacris Nelly battle, Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy, different ones like that are just popular hits. I feel like people are excited about that. So like, what's stopping virtual concerts, virtual dates? Where do you feel like that goes?
Okay, so first let me ask this. So it's essentially just playing your best hits against one another and see who's got the better
for sure. But I mean, the thing about it is that it is virtual, and normally we would do stuff like that in a concert, right?
Yeah.
At a club somewhere. That's not how it's happening now. People are actually able to access Instagram Live. There's a chat section there. You can chat with people. You can be talking back and forth. It's just a live stream of it all. And them two, Gucci and Jeezy actually were like a battle, but they had like prior beef. So they kind of squashed their beef on stage. It was really, really like empowering and nice. If you guys are a part of hip hop community at all and you did see it or you've heard about it, it's a very nice moment that was just empowering for us. I feel like as people, we see a lot of like rap beef and stuff like that in our culture and our society. So it was nice to see some people come together to overcome it, especially in a time like right now where everybody is confined like to where they're at, sort of. I like the versus battles and things like that. I just feel as though human closeness, like being able to like hug you, I think that is in the VR world ain't gonna sustain.
It's sad to be honest.
That would be it. Because you can go in virtual reality and have that moment, but if you're with a headset on, like, you're not actually getting the closeness your VR person is.
Now, if I may point out a couple of things here, because this whole talk right now about how social events and the like come up, this reminds me of a game that is out on Steam. If you might have heard of it, I'm pretty sure.
Steam?
Steam is an online digital gaming store that you can buy like some of your PC games and the like. It's best for like Windows computers, Linux computers, and even Mac if some games are supported on it.
Okay.
Anyway, what I'm talking about here is a game you can buy on Steam. It's called VR Chat. If you've heard of it, you essentially have a headset, or probably not. I don't know. I'm not sure how it works, but it's like you have a community of custom-made 3D models of your own, if you've imported, or even stuff that comes in the game. I'm not sure. And you can just chat and hang out with people and do funny stuff. It's nice. And I like the idea of that. It's close to what we are talking about in the realm of this episode.
Right.
But there's still some stuff that you can tell needs to be worked out along the way.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like that's always
basic at the best.
With the like VR situation, like we're a ways away from being like a total VR situation. But I did think like the way that they push tech on us, the way that we have been confined inside, I do think it's really inspiring to see the creativity of people to bring others together despite us being separated. But I do think that that's going to be giving more ideas to people about how they can keep us inside virtually.
Sporting events, though. My goodness.
Totally.
I'm amazed at how things have changed up so well.
I will say I appreciated the bubble.
Oh, definitely.
Laker Nation. Woo! 2020 champs.
I will thunder up any day of the week. But
thunder up?
I will respect the Lakers, no doubt. They earned their championship this year.
But it's like I appreciate that they have the bubble. I don't feel as though I have to go to a sporting game, but I like that they did the bubble for the players to protect them, to make them feel safer, but still were able to actually give us quality product. I mean, that meant everything to me. I'm a huge basketball fan, and so just the principle that they found ways is good. With the VR thing, it can go one of two ways, because you're going to have people who are evil and want to do stuff like fry your brain and put you in a coma if you die from a VR headset. And you're also going to have people who want to see things better and look to adjust things. That Aquarian energy, make things better. That is what Aquarians do. They're humanitarians. They're tech. They're smart, super intelligent, oldest air sign in the zodiac for a reason.
We care.
You do care. You care heavily. And I feel like this is why this is the age of Aquarius, like coming in right now, actually. So, I so appreciate you. My little brother is an Aquarius, everybody, so you guys know. But I just appreciate you so much for coming on and chatting with me about virtual realities and talking. And we always have the best conversations. He's such a good person to bounce things off with. He gets me. He's the yin to my yang. I hope I am reversed to him.
Very much so you are.
And go tell the people your big three, your sun, moon, and rising sign. You know them.
Oh my goodness.
You know them.
Okay, yes. If I'm not mistaken, my sun is Aquarius, obviously.
Yes, it is.
My moon is Leo.
Yes, it is. Your opposite sign.
My rising, wait for it. You want to tell us both?
Gemini! Woo! He is a Aquarius sun, Leo moon, Gemini rising, and I am an Aries sun, Libra moon, Gemini rising. And it's very funny because we're both opposite energy, sun and moon, and the same rising sign, but you are opposite energy, where you have air sun, fire moon, and I have fire sun and air moon. But we both have air rising. Literally the yin to my yang. I always say that I was supposed to be a twin, and and I was the Aries, so I jumped first, and he was like, nah.
wait 5.
Literally, no.
Wait 5 more years.
Wait 5 more years, and I'll be there. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening to us just chit chat about virtual realities and what we think and kind of where this leads to. What do you guys think? What do you guys see? Do you consider what we live in right now like a super virtual reality? Where are you guys?
There's a real question for y'all.
But thank you, little brother, for joining. You can tell the people with me bye. We will see you guys later.
Laters.
Aw.